Mr. Rogers once said, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping.'" Who are these helpers, you ask? Let's see if you can name some of the following helpers. These helpers and many more are out there making sure that you stay healthy during this time. Let's make a fun sign to say thank you to those helpers. Look around your house. You can use a piece of paper or an old coloring book page, a cereal box, a paper bag, something that you could put paint on. I typically keep a pile of paper that I've painted so that I can use them for projects like this. And later on, I'll show you how you can start your own collection of painted papers. You'll also need some painting tools, such as paintbrushes, plastic knives, forks, and spoons, and of course paint. I chose 3 warm colors plus white. Just make sure that on your palette you have 2 to 3 colors plus white. I'm going to start with a paper bag. I can use this to wrap up a thank you present for a helper later on. The goal is to cover the entire surface of the paper. I'm going to dip my brush into 1 or 2 colors of paint and then push, pull, tap, squiggle, and dance all over the paper. I'll even switch hands and practice painting with my left hand. While the paint is still wet, try scratching it with a fork or tapping a ball of aluminum foil. This will change the texture and make the painting more interesting. Once you have the surface of your paper completely painted, set this somewhere safe to dry. If you have any extra paint on your palette, grab another piece of paper and do another painting. Start building up your painted paper collection. After the paint is dry, you can add more paint designs on top. For example, I've switched to this purple painting. I painted it a couple weeks ago, so it's all dry, and I'm adding more to it. If you don't like something, like you've made a mistake or you didn't like that color that you chose, try scraping it off or wiping it off with a paper towel. This is all about experimenting and enjoying the painting process. Now let's make our thank you sign. If you didn't make a painted paper, you can grab a cereal box. There's lots of fun colors there. Write out the words "Thank you, helpers" in bubble or block letters. I'm going to do this on the back so that you can see it easier. It's also a great place to practice drawing your letters. Once you're ready, turn this over to the front side and draw the words again. Make them big so it's easier to read your sign. So I have turned my cereal box over to the front and rewritten my thank you helpers. And now it's time to paint my sign using white paint. I'm going to paint around the letters in the background or negative space. That way all of the fun colors will be the letters. For a final touch, once the paint is completely dry, I like to take a marker and redraw all the letters just to help them pop out even more on the sign. now that you're all done painting your signs, instead of throwing away all that paint that's on your palette, grab another piece of paper, paper bag, whatever, and use that up to make another piece of painted paper. This is how you're going to start building up your collection so that you can make some future signs. You might be able to fill up another piece of paper, or you might not. It just depends on how much paint is left on your palette. Speaking of future signs, do you recognize the paper that I used for this one? That's right, it's that purple paper I had in the beginning of the video. You can make multiple signs since there are multiple helpers out there helping us.